Super Mario Galaxy is a 3D Mario game that was released in 2007 for the Nintendo Wii. And for full disclosure before I begin this retrospective, I have very fond memories of this game, as I got it for my birthday as a 7-year-old and it was my first ever 3D Mario game. I am now much older and have revisited this game and will try to, as objectively as possible, evaluate how good this game truly was and if it is still worth your time to revisit even today. Now, the first thing I immediately noticed when loading this game back up is that the graphics and art design of this game, in my opinion, still hold up to this day, despite Mario Galaxy's release being over 14 years ago. I had never found myself noticing any poorly placed textures or any noticeable performance dips, even though I am accustomed to normally playing games on a high-end PC. The transition back to Mario Galaxy was not the least bit jarring for me. The game starts out with a fairly standard introduction for a Mario game, with Princess Peach being kidnapped by Bowser and his goons at a nighttime festival to celebrate the arrival of a comet that passes over only every 100 years. A noticeable difference being this time that a huge spaceship is used to lift the Mushroom Kingdom castle right off the ground, and Mario, in his attempt to rescue the princess, is sent flying into the void of space. Mario then wakes up on an unknown planet. This is where the game introduces you to its controls and to the Lumas, little star-shaped beings that will help you throughout your journey, with one even giving you the ability to spin, a move unique to Super Mario Galaxy. This introduction area also introduces you to Super Mario Galaxy's unique gravity mechanics, which allows you to walk on many surfaces even when it appears that you are upside down. At this time, I will touch on the controls of the game for Mario in a bit more detail. This game is often sometimes criticized for having a more simplified moveset compared to its predecessors of Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine, as well as for the Wii remote controls being difficult to use. And while I would agree that Mario 64 and Sunshine have more diverse movesets in my opinion, the focus on Super Mario Galaxy is much more on the unique gravity mechanics, and the moveset still has many options. These movement options include the standard jump, which you can chain into a triple jump, a long jump, slams, wall jumps, a backwards flip, and the newly added spin, which is activated by shaking the Wii remote, and is extremely useful for the many platforming sections throughout the game. This does not even mention the underwater controls for certain sections of these games, and all of these controls are super responsive and easy to use, which makes controlling Mario a fun and easy to understand experience while still allowing for a learning curve before truly mastering the movement system. The other main aspect of the controls of Mario Galaxy that doesn't involve Mario is the cursor, a small little star-shaped icon that you will use throughout your journey for various different things. The cursor is extremely simple to use as you point the Wii remote at the screen to make the cursor move. This can be done independently of Mario's movement and can be used to pick off star bits, Super Mario Galaxy's currency that are spread throughout the galaxies and are often dropped by enemies and are used for many various purposes. The cursor will also have some sections of the game where it can be used to interact with its environment, such as pull stars or webs that you can pull to fling Mario across the level. The limited use of motion controls and the primary ones being used, which are the shake and point functionality of the Wii remote, which are by far the simplest and most reliable, makes the experience much better in my opinion, with the other varieties of the Wii remote's motion controls that are more intrusive and less enjoyable in my opinion, being utilized only for some optional side galaxies that are not needed to complete the game. Now, after learning the controls of the game in this basic starting area from the Lumas, you meet Rosalina, a woman who is the leader of the Lumas and who gives you the ability to spin and tasks you to rescue a Grand Star. After completing the short introduction level and saving the Grand Star, you are returned to the observatory. The observatory is the home of the Lumas and Rosalina. They explain to you that Bowser has stolen all of their power and Grand Stars, leaving the observatory in bad shape, and they need your help to recover the lost Power Stars and Grand Stars in order to travel to the center of the universe and rescue the princess from Bowser. They also explain that the observatory will be the hub base for you throughout the game, and while it certainly does not have as many secrets as the castle in Mario 64, and feels quite desolate and empty at the beginning of the game, it soon becomes full of life when more Grand Stars are returned and serves as a comforting and safe place to practice Mario's controls, as well as traverse through the game's many galaxies, which can be accessed through the domes that are placed throughout the observatory. The domes act similar to world maps and allow you to choose a galaxy to go to. At the start of the game, you only have access to the first dome and to one galaxy, the Good Egg Galaxy, which has 3 stars for you to obtain. Stars can be found in their own individual level of sorts, which each having their own objective in order to obtain them, such as a boss battle or completing a long platforming section through the level. After earning enough stars, you can access other galaxies and then challenge the enemy base in the dome's region for a grand star. Once the grand star is earned and returned, you will power up another section of the observatory, and will unlock another dome with more galaxies and another enemy base to conquer. This is Super Mario Galaxy's primary progression model and core gameplay loop, which surprisingly affords a player with quite a bit of freedom in how to go about completing their ultimate quest to defeat Bowser and rescue the princess, as there are many ways to acquire power stars in this game. After the first dome is completed, the Comet Luma will appear, which causes comets to appear at certain galaxies at random, or you can pay with star bits to have a comet appear in a galaxy you would prefer. This will unlock a unique challenge that, if completed, rewards you with a star. This includes things such as racing a cosmic version of Mario across a level, defeating a boss with only 1 health, or completing the level in a set amount of time. Hungry Lumas will also appear outside of every dome, which for a fee in the form of the star bits you have collected in your journey, will create an entire galaxy, usually with a unique twist or challenge. There are also many hidden stars throughout the game on many levels with various ways to access them. From feeding Hungry Luma's star bits to create a new planet, to discovering hidden paths or defeating certain enemies, there are many ways to get secret stars. You also at some point will rescue your brother Luigi, and have the chance to recover even more stars with his help. The many options you have to work towards your final goal is a great addition and almost entirely removes the need to force players to complete a certain level or galaxy that they are either stuck on or just not interested in. The thing I believe now after replaying this game that Super Mario Galaxy does best is variety in both its setting and level design. The space theme of this game allows for each individual galaxy to have a unique concept and visual theme for its level or levels. Some of my favorite galaxy settings being the Space Junk Galaxy, the Freeze Flame Galaxy, and the Toy Time Galaxy. Each galaxy feels distinct visually, and the clever use of camera angles and the various star launch patterns really gives some impressive and stunning visuals. Throughout my time with this game, I never felt like any of the galaxies ever looked the same as the last. This feeling also continued with the gameplay and level design. One of the most common critiques of Super Mario Galaxy is that the game is too linear, and that the level design should have been more open, and while it's definitely more of a linear game than its predecessor Mario 64, or even its spiritual successor like Mario Odyssey, this however is not necessarily a bad thing. One of the biggest appeals of open world game design is that it allows players to basically go anywhere they can see, and there can be many different pathways towards the objective in the level. As a result, this is extremely immersive. Linear games often stick to only 1 or 2 paths through a level and restrict players' movements, for example blocking streets with debris or invisible barriers. In reality, the player should be able to get around these obstacles and can break immersion. However, the design of Super Mario Galaxy does not have this issue, as every galaxy is usually floating in space, with a group of self-contained planets that you will visit at least once in your journey to collect all the stars there. This means that players are able to visit everywhere they see, and are never shown an area that they wish they could explore but are not able to. And while you still may prefer the sandbox style of open levels, the developers made proper use of their linear design choice in this game, as it allowed the level designers to curate more unique or scripted gameplay events without hurting any of the players' immersion. The ability to create more linear levels also allowed the designers to craft some very unique platforming challenges and keep the gameplay fresh. Here are just a few descriptions of some of the things you'll end up doing throughout this game. You will race through an upside-down pyramid that is rapidly being filled with sand, skate on lava, climb and destroy a giant toy Bowser. There are also several well-designed boss battles throughout this, with Bowser and other foes, where the previous 3D Mario entries had never focused much on boss battles. These are just a few examples of things you will do in order to collect stars, with a total of 120 stars to be found throughout the game. There are also some of the more unique power-ups in the series history that are introduced, such as Bee Mario that allows Mario to fly and stick to honey-covered walls, Ghost Mario who can move through solid objects, Spring Mario who can jump to incredible heights, and Ice Mario who can freeze water and lava he steps on. Other unique gameplay situations, such as unique gravity-based puzzles and navigation challenges, using pull stars, launching yourself with spider webs, shooting coconuts at enemies, and swimming underwater, as well as area-unique enemies are presented to the player. However, the genius of Mario Galaxy is that these concepts and situations will often go unused for long stretches of gameplay and possibly many galaxies and stars later, until they are used again, making them fresh and engaging each time, and preventing them from becoming overused and dull to the player. This gameplay variety combined with the unique and interesting settings is what I believe Super Mario Galaxy's greatest strength is, and what keeps the game's players engaged throughout the experience until your final showdown with Bowser. At this point you will have fought him a few times already, with each of his boss battles progressively getting tougher, and with this final showdown with him being admittedly grand for a Mario game. You then defeat Bowser and rescue the princess with an interesting twist at the end that I won't spoil in case you want to go replay the game for yourself. And with that, the credits roll and the story of Super Mario Galaxy ends with you being able to return to the observatory, where you unlock a final dome and are free to explore and collect any of the power stars you missed. I honestly don't have much to say about the story, as there isn't too much to analyze or break down, but it does its job well as a vessel for the gameplay and gives Mario a reason to explore the galaxies. It should also be noted there is a storybook with various chapters in the form of cutscenes that can be unlocked throughout the game, which flesh out Rosalina's backstory, and is well written and completely optional for those who are uninterested. Now with the game completed, I would like to address an aspect of Super Mario Galaxy that I feel like is underappreciated and something I didn't quite realize until I replayed it for this video. And that would be how accessible this game is without letting the gameplay suffer. I feel that often games that are deemed accessible are scoffed at, and that the term has also become a buzzword, meaning that the gameplay has been dumbed down, and oftentimes that can be the case. However, Super Mario Galaxy seemed to walk a fine line and is able to have engaging 3D platforming gameplay, while still being accessible to children or other people who may not have much experience with video games. As I know from experience, a 7-year-old me was able to beat this game, and now as an adult the game, while not difficult, is still engaging with some points of actual challenge. Many of the points I've mentioned throughout this video are reasons for this, as the many different stars available would allow a 7-year-old me to skip a boss or puzzle I was stuck on and still progress. The linear level design also helps here, as it prevents you from truly becoming lost in a level, as there is a limited number of paths the player can take. I will also mention that the linear design of levels is great for small chunks of time, as I remember as a kid I would play a level or two during breakfast before school, and now as an adult that is going to college while also having a job, I still appreciate that I can play a level or two when I have some free time in my day. The simplified controls and moveset are also easier to pick up and understand, and the game also does a great job of showing pictures of button prompts, which can help younger children who may have difficulty reading instruction dialogue. Super Mario Galaxy also does a great job with visual cues. Things to avoid such as black holes and enemies are naturally threatening looking and bright, allowing players to understand what they need to avoid and where they cannot use gravity mechanics. These features allow for the game to be enjoyed by all ages, and those of vastly different levels of experience with platformers and video games in general. Final thing I want to discuss, which you likely have heard in the background throughout this video, is the music and sound design of Super Mario Galaxy. This being, in my opinion, why the game has remained relevant to this day. The Gusty Gardens and Space Junk Galaxy themes in the start screen track are arguably some of the most iconic tracks in the history of the Mario games, with each galaxy having an appropriate soundtrack to match its personality, and the many sound effects of the game perfectly fitting the space theme. With that said, even as a child I remember the sound design being excellent, and replaying it now all these years later, it is still as excellent as I remember. And with that being said, I'm ready to finish this retrospective and give my final verdict on Super Mario Galaxy. After playing this game almost 14 years after my initial playthrough, I'm glad to say that I believe Super Mario Galaxy is an excellent 3D platformer that has clearly left its influence on the Mario franchise to this day, and I would recommend this game to anyone young or old. Thank you for watching my retrospective review on Super Mario Galaxy. Just a disclaimer, these are my opinions on the game, and you are free to have your own. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe, as I'm currently working on a retrospective on another game from my childhood, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite for the PlayStation Portable. And if this video does well, I plan on making retrospectives and other content on other games in the near future.